Welcome to Duff House, an extravagant Georgian mansion unique to the surrounding area. The story of Duff House provides insight into changes in Scottish society and rural life after the 1707 Acts of Union. Central to this story are William Duff, a wealthy merchant and moneylender, and William Adam, the leading Scottish designer of the period, who was also an entrepreneur with interests in quarrying and masonry, coal mining, salt panning, agricultural improvement, and mills. Adam's professional ambitions, married to Duff's deep pockets and desire for status, should have been a match made in heaven. The construction of Duff House, though, would not be straightforward. For Adam, Duff House presented a rare opportunity to build from scratch. His plan was for a 4-storey country house, with servants' quarters on the ground floor, family apartments on the first, staterooms on the second principal floor, and a third floor comprised of a gallery and further accommodation. 2 generous wings were planned, linked to the main house by curved corridors. They would provide space for domestic facilities. Adam's decorative facades would be an ostentatious celebration of his client's wealth, and internally, Adam planned self-contained suites and luxurious reception rooms. He also created hidden mezzanino rooms for storage and servants' quarters, by varying the ceiling heights. Adam's plans for Duff House were developed and agreed extraordinarily quickly. The foundation stone was laid a month after the pair's first meeting. It was perhaps too quick. As the walls and costs rose, the relationship between owner and designer deteriorated. Duff questioned the design, in particular the need for the wings, and was critical of Adam's multiple roles of designer, masonry supplier, and project manager. Concerns also grew about the capability of the local stonemasons. Adam proposed that the work be completed at his own quarry near Queensferry. Duff agreed, failing to realise he would now face an additional bill, not only for Adam's masons, but the transport of the stone. It was the death stroke of their relationship. With the roof in place, but only the first floor rooms complete, work stopped on Duff House. Adam sued for non-payment and a 5-year legal battle ensued. He was ultimately victorious but died in June 1748, still unpaid. His last great project was little more than an extravagant shell. Duff House's wings were never constructed, and a second horseshoe staircase on the house's north side also remained unbuilt. In contrast to Adam's fortunes, Duff was elevated to the rank of Earl Fife in 1759, but it would be left to future earls to complete Duff House. When construction recommenced on Duff House in 1794, it was under the second Earl, James. The second Earl completed the majority of the rooms, including the dining room, where the papier-mâché ceiling demonstrates James's eye for contemporary fashion. In the 1780s, he completed the Great Staircase, providing an impressive approach to the state rooms. The second Earl also made alterations to the Great Drawing Room, removing one of the 2 fireplaces and lowering the ceiling by 5 feet to create space for servants' quarters. Externally, he completed a kitchen block and the family mausoleum, where he was buried in 1809, aged 88. an impressive age considering his wife Dorothea attempted to shoot him during their turbulent marriage. The third Earl, Alexander, was already in his late 70s when he inherited Duff House and only survived 2 years. The fourth Earl, another James, was a military man. He lost his wife to a bite from their rabid dog and later gained a reputation as a playboy. Despite an economic downturn, extravagant spender James redecorated. The fifth Earl's wife, Agnes, favoured chintz and made some notable additions to the house's decoration. The fifth Earl himself oversaw the family's last major contribution to Duff House, commissioning a new wing to the east. The sixth Earl, Alexander, rose to the very top of British nobility. After hosting the future Edward VII at Duff House in 1883, he married Edward's daughter, Princess Louise, in 1889. Louise's grandmother, Queen Victoria, made him a duke, commenting, "It is a very brilliant marriage, and he is immensely rich." The sixth Earl was a progressive figure, on good terms with his tenants and servants. Despite this, though, life for a servant at Duff House was hard. The absence of the planned wings meant there was limited space for staff accommodation and facilities, and the very design of the house reinforced social division. Servants accessing the house would do so anonymously at a side door, and less important visitors used the smaller doors at the ground level. Only those of higher rank would arrive via the sweeping staircase on the house's south side. Entering through high French doors, these guests would cross the vestibule to the dining room or scale the great staircase to the grand staterooms on the second floor. The sixth Earl and Princess Louise preferred their other estate to Duff House. Thus, they sold its contents and in 1907 gifted the house to Banff and Macduff. Prior to World War II, Duff House spent alternate periods as a country hotel and a private hospital for the investigation and treatment of disorders of nutrition. At the start of the Second World War, the house was requisitioned as a barracks and POW camp, and then a base for Norwegian and Polish troops, some of whom left their mark. The building also bears the marks of a German air raid in 1940, in which 6 people died. By the end of the war, Duff House was in a poor state of repair, and it passed into government care in the mid-1950s. From 1992 onwards, a coalition of bodies helped bring about its renovation, funded by Historic Scotland. Only a few items survive from the Duff family's tenure at Duff House. They include these gilt bronze candelabra decorated with the Earl's coat of arms in the dining room, the dinner service owned by the current Duke of Fife, and the Rococo mirror in the north drawing room. The sixth Earl is said to have removed the decorative Earl's crown before gifting the house to Banff and Macduff. Elsewhere, the pictures, furniture and wall decorations, whilst typical of 18th and 19th century country houses, are drawn from the National Galleries of Scotland, the Donegal collection, and private collectors. The Donegal collection comprises over 1,300 pictures, furnishings and decorative arts, originally purchased by Sir William Erskine of Torry and his family. His youngest daughter, Magdalena, established an institute in Donegal Castle in Fife. Much of her collection is now displayed here at Duff House. Works from the National Galleries of Scotland include paintings by El Greco, Gainsborough and Raeburn, and an Alexander Naismith copy of Alan Ramsay's self-portrait. Other notable pieces include the Gobelins tapestries, Napoleonic swords, and a pair of 17th century globes, one depicting the earth, the other the heavens. At the foot of the great staircase sits a red stone bracket, carved from porphyry rock and designed in the shape of a lion's foot. It was commissioned for a Roman bathhouse and is one of only 3 known to exist. This delicately painted enamel tray is a mysterious object, surrounded by English flowers. The central monogram contains the letters F-I-V-G, but its meaning remains an enigma. Displayed in the North Drawing Room, these giltwood chairs are said to have been gifted by Napoleon to his step-uncle, Cardinal Fesch. As the former home of the art-collecting Earls of Fife, it is particularly fitting that it should find itself housing a great art collection once more.